Hi guys, welcome to my kitchen and welcome to my channel. I am not your PA, and today is a very hot day here in Sydney. I think we've gone up to 43 degrees. Hi guys, so this is my very first video, so you have to bear with me if I look up because I keep looking at the screen, so forgive me for that. So today we're going to be baking. I know that you guys have been working on your New Year's resolutions, trying to make sure that you eat well, you eat healthy, that you tick all the boxes that you have to do all throughout the year. If dieting is your goal, well, you know, this may not be the right channel for you. I'm all about just living your life, being creative, and just eating and making sure that everything's balanced. That's me, and that's what I'm all about. So today's recipe has come from Fresh Magazine, which Woolworths come up each month. They come up with different recipes, different items, different ideas, from savoury to desserts. So you can always look up really good recipes, actually, I must say, and because they highlight all the fresh produce, what fruits or what produce are in season, and you can always use them to actually it's called the strawberry buttermilk cake. This recipe is on page 84 of the Fresh Magazine, which came out last month. I'm gonna send the link on the description down below, so if you guys can look it up later, that's all good. And so the strawberries are very sweet and very much in season at the moment. I think they're like $2 a punnet or $2.50 a punnet, which is quite cheap, reasonably cheap, and they're really nice. Some of them are a bit tangy, some of them are really sweet. So we're going to make a strawberry buttermilk cake this afternoon. What I do personally, if I have to bake anything on a given day, is I would always read the recipe. I would even read them twice just to make sure I've got all the ingredients that I need, and before I go to the shops I would normally just write down the things that I don't have in my pantry. So the basic things like flour, baking powder, baking soda, and all that basic stuff that you have in your pantry. I just go through them just to make sure I have the stocks that I need, and those things that I don't have, those are the things that I would just normally buy and go through the list as I go when I go to the shop, so that in that way I can save a little bit. So first things first, guys, so as you know, baking is very precise, and you always have to make sure you've got all the ingredients that you need, and preparation is the key. Always make sure you've got the right quantities, you've got the right amount of ingredients, whether dry or liquid, and try not to alter the proportions of the ingredients, otherwise you're going to come up with something really a bit dry or very moist or underbaked or overbaked cakes. You can always adjust the amount of sugar or the flavors, but you know it's very quite exact when it comes to baking, unlike when you're doing a bit of more of your savory recipes. So we're just going to go ahead and I'm just going to go and read the steps again, the procedure again, and then just to make sure I've got everything right and I've got all the equipment that I need to be able to make this cake. So I've got a 22 centimeter baking pan with me here, and I've lined it with baking paper. So I've got my big mixing bowl here, I've got my sifter, which I have. So what I'm going to do now is actually, I've got all my dry ingredients here. I'm just going to go through the recipe. So you have to have your recipe with you, handy at all times, so you don't have to run back and forth wherever you have to look at your recipe. So I've got here with me 1 cup of plain flour, which I'm just going to combine all the dry ingredients together and sift them together. Although this is a pre-sifted ones, I've always sifted all my dry ingredients together just to make sure they're all blended and I don't end up with clumps of flour or baking powder or baking soda. So I've got 1.5 teaspoon of baking powder straight in there. I've got 1.5 teaspoon of baking soda straight through there, and then I'm just going to give it a good sift just to make sure there's no big clumps that's left in the mixture. So that's pretty straightforward. I'm just going to put that in there on the side, and then you have to combine it with the almond meal, which I've got here, this is a quarter of a cup of almond meal. I'm just going to give it a good stir just to make sure it's all, the dry ingredients are all mixed in together. Oops, I forgot one thing. I forgot the salt. Doesn't say here on the recipe that you have to have salt. So I forgot the salt. So I'm just reading it now. See, you know what I mean? Though I've read the recipe twice, I still missed that bit. Sorry guys, I forgot to mention that you have to preheat your oven. That's very important actually. This is the very first step that you have to do. So you have to preheat your oven at 180 degrees centigrade. So we're going to do it now actually before I forget. Our oven is now preheating. We've mixed all our dry ingredients together and it's all looking nice and blended. We forgot a quarter teaspoon of salt. It's not included on the Woolworths. What's happening here? You've missed that ingredient, but it says on the step, so it should be okay. So it's always worth reading the recipe 3 times, not twice, you know, as I said. So now we're going to go ahead and proceed with our wet ingredient. I'm just going to have a drink because I'm really thirsty. Okay, so I've got my electric mixer set up in there, and I'm going to go ahead and mix the butter, which is 150 grams of unsalted butter. Make sure you use unsalted butter at all times. So I'm talking about butter stick, not the butter that, because we get confused with the butter that we use for spreading all your toast and things like that. So this is a stick of butter, which is 115 grams, and we'll mix it with a bit of raw caster sugar, which is this sugar, together in the mixer. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and mix them together. So the recipe says that you have to cream your butter and your sugar for approximately 2 minutes in medium speed, and that's what we're doing at the moment. I started really slow because I don't want the sugar to be flying everywhere. So we're just going to put that into medium speed. So I've just scraped the bottom of the bowl just to make sure it's all incorporated in the mixture of the butter and the sugar. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to add 1 egg. So I've got 1 egg in here. I'm going to crack it. Give it another probably 30 seconds at medium speed, and that will be all good, and we'll be ready to mix our dry and our wet ingredients. Okay, now that we've got our dry and our wet ingredients all incorporated together, we're going to mix our butter mixture together with our dry mixture right here. I've got the dry mixture that we first did, and I've got some buttermilk in here. So I've got half a cup of buttermilk, which I've got on this bowl. So we're just going to incorporate all this together. So it says you have to alternate mixing the buttermilk. So we're just going to do a bit of buttermilk now. With some of these fluffy butter. At this point, this is very crucial, I think, when you're making cakes and things like that, to try not to overmix the mixture. So it's always better to undermix than to overmix in this case. Sorry, I'm licking my fingers in between. Just put the remaining last batch of buttermilk in there, scraping off my bowl. Make sure I get the last remaining butter and sugar mixture. You can always do this on your if you've got a handheld mixer or a stand mixer over a low speed, but I find that I tend to overmix things if I do it that way. So what I'm doing now is just folding the ingredients all together into one mixture. Sorry. This is a new equipment for me that I bought from IKEA, so I'm not really sure why I bought this for. I think this is an egg beater or some sort. Why am I using this to mix my ingredients? I have no idea. So I'm just going to put this away. There you go. So I'm just going to continue to mix this one until I've got to this stage. So from this stage on, as you can see, there's no more flour, there's no more clumps of butter that you can see. It's all incorporated into one mixture. Then you have to stop, okay? This is not the time to actually practice your biceps or your triceps and continue mixing this, so otherwise you're gonna end up with a tough cake. We're gonna put this mixture now into our prepared pan that we did at the beginning of this video. Here. So, I just need to even this out. We've been using my spatula here. I'm just spreading the batter evenly onto the pan. Will be to arrange the strawberries. So I've got the strawberries here, which is they say 1 cup. I'm just gonna quickly wash my hands, or probably just do that. Oh, I'm just gonna wash my hands because it's, you know. So they're really yummy. So the recipe says that you have to arrange the strawberries evenly on the top of the cake. So that's what we're going to do. So, you can see on the camera. I'm just going to do that. I think it's better this way, I think. Just push them ever so lightly, I think. This is like an upside down cake, but not really upside down, I think. Downside up, maybe. I don't know. Just reminds me of upside down cake, you know, to be honest. So I'm just arranging all the strawberries that I cut in half here on top of the cake, as you can see. Yeah. Just pushing it in ever so slightly. It's looking rather beautiful, if I may say so myself. So what I've done is I've just arranged all the strawberries on top of the cake, letting them submerge probably halfway through the batter. So I've got that. The cake's still going to rise, so you don't have to worry about that too much if it's uneven. So I've got 1 tablespoon of extra raw caster sugar here from your ingredients that we can use to sprinkle on top of the cake. So I think that will give it a really caramelized sort of texture, making it a bit more sweet. So I'm just going to go ahead and sort of dust this off on top, just like so. Oops. Yeah. Okay, just keep going. So this is going to be a bit sweet, I think. But I think it's going to be balanced with the buttermilk frosting that we're going, or with the cream frosting that we're going to do later on. So I'm not too scared about that. And what's another tablespoon of sugar, to be honest, on your diet? Okay, so at 180 degrees, we're gonna leave it in the oven for 20 minutes and then see how it is. Okay, don't forget to put your timer on at 20-minute mark and then check your cake mark. Okay, so at this point we're just going to prepare our topping for the cake, which is a strawberry topping with balsamic vinegar. Not sure about this. I think it will make the balsamic vinegar will make the strawberries even more sweet. I think that's the goal. Not the dessert that I have had before. I'm sure I've had balsamic vinegar with savory things like roast veggies and meat or whatever, salad or anything like that. But I haven't really had balsamic vinegar as a topping for my dessert, so we're just gonna see how it goes. I've got 2 punnets of strawberries that so the first punnet I cut them in half, and the other punnet I just left them whole as it is. Okay, so I've just cut this in halves, not halves, but I've sliced them, to be honest. Not really half, but I've sliced them. Sorry, my bad. Okay, so I've got that. I've got 1/4 of cup of sugar. And how much vinegar do we need? We need 2 tablespoons of white balsamic vinegar. I really had a hard time finding the white balsamic vinegar. I don't know whether I was just looking at the wrong section of the shop, but I accidentally found that I've got a bottle in my cupboard, so we're just going to use that. I think you can dark balsamic vinegar will work just as well. I think it's just a tangy that we're after. So we're just going to mix this through. Okay, yeah, so it's a lot sweeter now. It's not as tangy as I expected it to be, which is nice. I think it will balance the creaminess of your cake to the tanginess of your topping, which will work quite well. So we're just going to put this in the fridge, at least for half an hour, and let it chill. Okay. So guys, it's been 30 minutes since we put this cake in the oven. So I did a skewer test. It still looks a bit wet in the middle, but I think if we give it a chance to cool down, I think it will set. But I've got a theory that this cake is a bit wet to my liking. I think it may be the strawberries, I don't know, whatever, but we're just gonna roll with it. We're just gonna let this cake rest until it cools down. This is how it looks. It looks pretty good from when you look at it from the outside. I mean, it looks quite caramelized. It looks good. It smells good. It smells very buttery. So we're just gonna let this cake cool down before we actually put the frosting and the toppings later on. So we'll see you guys in a bit. Okay guys, cake is now ready to be frosted. So what I've done is I've got some double cream here, which I've just whipped for 5 minutes over high speed. So you can see it's all nice and thick and ready to go. Just to make sure it's all the cream that when you put it in your mixer, whether a stand mixer or a hand mixer, make sure it's all it's chilled, so you get that height that you want. So what I'm going to do now is put a couple of dollops of that on top of your cake. Guys, I've just finished decorating the cake. I think it looks good, it looks banging. So you've got the color, you've got the height. I've just put all the strawberries on top. So the recipe says that you have to use to garnish the cake basil leaves and strawberry flowers, but you know, really, who eats those? I don't know. I don't even know where you get your strawberry flowers from, to be honest. Then I don't know whether they're edible or not. So what I've done is I've just put some mint leaves on top, just the tiny leaves on top, just to give it a bit of a color. And you can eat that as well if you like. You know, it looks really good on camera. I'll put it side by side on the picture. I think this is a success. I think so. That's the magazine, and this is our cake. So I think we've done really well. I think we've done really well with this. And as they say, the proof is in the pudding. We are going to taste this shortly, and then I will let you guys know what my thoughts are. Guys, we're gonna go ahead and taste this cake. I will taste this cake for you. So we'll just give it a slice and then see how it is. This is the best part, I think. So, berries are a bit on the way. So I'm just gonna get that big chunk of strawberry there and put that on the side. Just a tiny slice. That's all we need for today. Okay, impressions. It's a bit wet in the middle, and you know, I was expecting that when I pulled the cake out of the oven after 30 minutes, so I'm not surprised about that. But I think it would still taste okay. So I've got that here. So what we're gonna do is put this in my gob. think it tastes really good. You can taste the almond meal. You can taste the strawberry. Definitely. So being having used the macerated strawberry, it just makes it more sweet, I think. And with the cream, I think it balances it out, to be honest. It would be good with a cup of tea or coffee or something like that. Yeah. Overall, I think it's quite good. So you guys tell me with your comments down below whether you're going to give it a go. Is there anything that I've missed on the steps? Is there anything that you really want me to do next time on my next video? I think it would be good if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe on my channel. And yeah, let's see each other again next time. Bye. I'm just going to keep eating this one.